Begin another incredible, beautiful daf of Maseches Chullin ahead of us. Today's daf is Hey. I know that I want to thank Rabbi Huda for giving the shir yesterday. I know you got a little bit down on Hey with Aleph. We're actually going to start from the top of the daf. Mamish, the first line. So remember again, we're in the middle of a riveting discussion regarding whether or not a mumar la'avodos kochavim, which is a Jew who worships idolatry and is a habitual, not just like a recreational idol worshiper, but mamish like a stark idol worshiper, is such an individual shchita fit for consumption. So Rav Anan told us in the name of Shmuel that he is still mumar la'avodos kochavim mutar la'achol mishchitaso. So the Gemara is actually bringing a raya from this, from where? From the interesting episode that you saw on the bottom of Amud Beis yesterday with Yehoshaphat and Achav. That it appears that Yehoshaphat, the king of Yehuda, ate from the shchita of Achav Melech Yisrael. Achav ultimately again was, unfortunately, an incredible Oved Avodah Zarah. Although remember, the amazing part is that when you study the story of Achav in Navi, it will say there's a body of Judaic knowledge called Navi that sometimes people think is only allowed to be learned by women. Just like Zohar could only be learned by people over 40, so Navi could only be, so there's a whole piece of Jewish history that's contained in Navi, which is actually quite fascinating. And when you go ahead and you study the story of Achav, you actually learn about a man who had a really very good neshama, but who unfortunately just could not get out of his own way. And even in those moments when he had nisoros to do tshuva, it's a very riveting story. His story is very much the story of the human condition. So the fact that Yehoshaphat went ahead and ate from the shchita of Achav would seem to indicate to us that a Jew is permitted to go ahead and eat of the shchita of a mumar la'avodos kochavim. So the Gemara says, "Lahava maflig nafshi minei minayin." Literally top daf. Top line of Ham and Aleph. So how do we know that Yehoshaphat? So we'll say literally, "L'havamaflig nafshik minei" means Yehoshaphat did not distance himself from Achav at all. So says the Gemara. Ultimately, again, where do we know that from? Minalan. From where do we know that? To which the Gemara says, "Ilema midichsiv kamoni kamocha ka'ami ka'amecha." So maybe it's because that ultimately Yehoshaphat says to Achav, kamoni kamocha. Well, like me is like you. Ka'ami ka'amecha, my nation is like your nation. So we'll say, if you want to understand we'll define what that pasuk means in just a moment. But the Gemara is saying maybe what that means is Yehoshaphat is saying to Achav, essentially whatever is good for you is good for me, right? And therefore again that's a raya that Yehoshaphat is eating of the shchita even of Achav. Ella me'ata kisusi kisusecha hachanami. But yet he says, like, my horse is your horse. So obviously, what is Yehoshaphat actually saying? Ella, rather, we'll say what Yehoshaphat was saying to Achav was as follows. Ella ma'adahavi asusecha tihavi asusi. Rather, we'll say, remember again, Achav is trying to get Yehoshaphat's alliance in going to war against Aram. That's what was unfolding over here. So really, when Yehoshaphat says to Achav, kisusi kisusecha means what? We share the same fate. Whatever will happen to your horses will happen to my horses. Hachanami madahavi alecha v'iloi amecha amech tievi alai v'ilavi ami. So ultimately, again, what Yehoshaphat was saying to Achav is, whatever will happen to me will happen to you. Or really, whatever happened to you will happen to me. Whatever will happen to your nation will happen to my nation. Whatever will happen to your horses will happen to my horses. This, I will say, was Yehoshaphat's pledge of allegiance to Achav. We will go to war against Aram together. And whatever will occur, will occur. But the point over here is, Kamoni kamocha kami kamecha is not a raya that Yehoshaphat ate of Achav's shchita. Because remember again, he's pledging his allegiance to the war effort against Aram, not necessarily that he's willing to eat of Achav. So you say, sometimes you have to strike strategic alliances with people who are not aligned with you ideologically, right? What is it? The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Hey, so we'll say, so again, just because Yehoshaphat is saying to Achav, we're going to go to war together, right? I'm pledging allegiance to you to go to war. It does not mean that he's eating of his shchita. Rather, Gemara says, you're right. Rather, here is where we see that Yehoshaphat did indeed eat of the shchita of Achav. Where does he see it? Umelech Yisrael v'Yehoshaphat melech Yehuda yoshvim ish al kis'o milubashim begadim begoren Pesach shar shomron. What said is amazing. So imagine this scene: the melech Yisrael Achav and Yehoshaphat, the king of Yehuda, are sitting, each of them on their throne. Milubashim begadim, adorned in their monarchical clothing. Begoren, we're going to translate the words here because the words are very important. Begoren in threshing floor, Pesach Shar Shomron, at the entranceway to the Shomron. So says the Gemara, my Goren, what's the threshing floor, right? What is this reference to? What's the threshing floor? So the Gemara says, Ilema Goren, Mamish, if you want to say that it's literally a threshing floor, Atu Shar Shomron Goren Hava, was the entranceway of Shomron a threshing floor? What does it mean the entranceway? Meaning, remember, just historically, you wouldn't have a threshing floor at the entranceway of the city. So what does it mean? There's a threshing floor at the entranceway of the city, to which the Gemara says, Elaki Goren. Rather, what it means is they were sitting at the entranceway of the city that was like a threshing floor. What does that mean? So the Gemara says, Kichatzi Goren. I'm sorry. Kigoren. Rather, both say they were sitting like a threshing floor. Look at Rashi. Kigoren hayu yoshvim b'chiba b'reisu ba'aguda kisanhedrin shin choshtin zeh. Rather, both says you're going to see in just a moment that Yehoshaphat and Achav were sitting at the entranceway of the city with brotherly love and togetherness. What does that have to do with a threshing floor? Here we go. So the Gemara says this Sanhedrin haisa kechatzi goren agula. We'll say when the Sanhedrin would sit, it's actually quite fascinating. The Sanhedrin would sit in a semicircle. Kechatzi goren agula, chiyuroen zeh zeh. So we'll say, so the kigoren ultimately in this reference does not refer to a threshing floor, rather it refers to a semicircle. And interestingly enough, so when the Sanhedrin would meet, the Sanhedrin would dafka sit in a semicircle formation. Why would the Sanhedrin sit in a semicircle formation? It's actually quite beautiful. Look at Rashi. Shiro and Zed, Rashi says, because remember again, they sat in a semicircle so that all of the judges of the Sanhedrin should be able to see each other. Rashi says, Lios shomin ish devar chaveru umisvachin zem zem, so that everyone would be able to hear his fellow's argument and they would be able to argue with each other. And they would argue until when? They would argue until they got to the definitive hora, to the definitive psak halacha. She'ilu hayu yoshim gishura, Rashi says, because if the Sanhedrin sat in a straight line, shelo ba'agula, not in a semicircle, ein b'nei rosh ashur ro and b'nei sof shuraso. The people on the one side of the line wouldn't be able to see the people on the other side of the line. Therefore, again, they wouldn't sit in a full circle either. Why not? Because if other people had to come to present to the Sanhedrin, you wanted people to be able to come in and to be able to present. If it was a circle, it's a closed circuit, the presenters cannot face everyone. So this is actually quite interesting. So a Sanhedrin would sit in a semicircle. So what it's saying over here is that when Yehoshaphat and so we'll say, so the goat, when it says they sat like a goren, the goren is reference to the semicircle. So Yehoshaphat and Achav sat in a semicircle, I guess, with their advisors, demonstrative of their love and mutual respect for one another. So the Gemara says, Lema Meseyah, so we'll say, let's go back there. So remember, we're trying to prove Rav Anan's point. And Rav Anan's point ultimately is what? Rav Anan's point was, so we'll say, so I'm just pointing out, goren in this context doesn't mean a threshing floor. Goren in this context means a semicircle. So, but again, remember, why are we bringing all of this up? We're bringing all of this up because halacha l'maisa, we're trying to prove Rav Anan's point that a mumar la'avodos kochavim has the ability to go ahead and do shchita. So all what we've seen is that Yehoshaphat and Achav were very close to one another. They had a feeling of mutual respect. Does that mean that Yehoshaphat ate of Achav's shchita? So we'll say, so this doesn't seem to be as conclusive of a proof as we thought it would be. So we'll say the Gemara brings another raya. What's the other raya? V'ha'orbim meviim lo lechem ubasar baboker, lechem ubasar ba'eros. So we'll say, now what's this reference to? This is when Eliyahu Hanavi was hiding from Achav. So let's remember again, Achav and Izebel are killing out all of the Nevi'im. Now, Achav has a specific distaste for Eliyahu. Why? Because Eliyahu is the one who decreed a famine and a drought, really enough, a drought amongst the lands of Achav. So Eliyahu Hanavi is in hiding. How is Eliyahu Hanavi eating? So the ravens are bringing him bread and meat in the morning, bread and meat at night. Not terrible, right? Bread and meat at night, bread and meat in the morning. So what happens? So we'll say, we're shilas. So the first kasha everybody asks, who's the Rav Machshir? Who's the Rav Machshir, right? I'm saying, where is the food coming from? So we'll say, this is amazing. So we'll say, where was the bread and meat coming from? it was coming from Achav's kitchen. Achav's kitchen. So I'll say, so first of all, the irony of ironies, that here Eliyahu Navi is hiding from Achav. He's being sustained from Achav's very kitchen, from the Basra Lechem of Achav. But for our purposes, what does that show us? The Navi is eating of the shchita of Achav. Achav is a mumar labo das kochavim. So what do you see from here? You see from here that a Jew is permitted to eat of the shchita of a mumar labo das kochavim. To which the Gemara says, no, I'm not sure that's exactly a good raya. Api hadibor shiny. We'll say this obviously is a bit different over here. Why? Because this entire circumstance is being orchestrated by the Ribono Shel Olam. Take a look at Rashi. Api dibor shiny. Shakadosh Baruch Hu hitiru lefi shah. See, what's interesting about this over that the Gemara suggests is that this could have been what's called a hora'as shah. Hora'as shah means what? That sometimes under extreme circumstances, certain things are permitted which would not normally be permitted. So in the normal circumstances, you would need not eat of the shita of a mumar lavo das kochavim. This was a Rosh Rashi said, "Shakadosh Baruch Hu hitiru lefi shah dichsev ve'esa arvim tzilisi sham lechalkaleka." So we'll say it could just very well be hora'as shah. We'll say now hora'as shah doesn't mean that the food of Achav wasn't kosher. It's possible that the food of Achav was kosher. What it teaches us is you can't learn out everlasting halacha from this particular episode. This was an ace, this was a miraculous intervention, therefore I can't learn anything from it. So Gemara just asks, by the way, my arvim, we'll say, what does it mean when it says the arvim? So arvim mamish. Arvim means ravens. Maybe arvim is actually the name of people, and maybe just both of their names was arvim. I know it means raven. Milo ksiv vayargues orev bitzor orev ve'esev. So Rabbi said the Gemara over here quotes a pasuk from Shoftim that there was a guy by the name of Orev. So we see Orev was a name, maybe not amongst the most popular, but it was a name. So there may be Orim over here. It doesn't mean ravens, but it means people whose name was Orev. So the Gemara says Amrlei v'shamay milsul de'tavayu havashmayu Arvim. So he says to him, "Come on, is it really possible? Okay, even if you want to say that Orev was a name." Is it really logical to think that both of their names, that there happened to be two guys, both of whose names was Arvim or Orev? That's why. So what's the statistical probability of two people both having the name Orev being selected by the ones who are going to bring Eliyahu Hanavi's food each and every day? Doesn't seem to be probable. The Dilma al Shemikaman. So I'll say maybe Orev is not their name, but maybe Orev is the name where they came from. Maybe Orev was the name of a city, and they're being identified not by their personal names, but rather again they're being identified by their place of origin, by their city. Milok Sirvos, and we see examples of this, of people being identified by being called by the name of their city, not necessarily by their own personal name. Milok Siv va'aram yatsu gidudim vayishvu me'eretz Yisrael na'ara kitana. So the Navi here tells a story of Aram going out to war against Kal Yisrael, and they took captive a na'ara kitana. Now, I will say, what's the problem with na'ara kitana? It's two inherently contradictory terms. V'kashya lan, karele na'ara, v'karele kitana. See, I will say, remember again, a na'ara is a girl who is more than 12 years old than 6 months. A kitana is a girl who is less than 12 years old. So which is she a na'ara? Is she a kitana? Vam Rabbi Pedas, it's not a contradiction. Kitana dimin ni'uran. She was a kitana, she was a minor girl who was from the city of Nu'uran. So you see from here what? So you see from here that people are identified by their place of origin. So maybe when it says the Arvim brought Eliyahu his food, ultimately what? It's referring to people, not to ravens. It's referring to people who were from the city of Orev. Imkain Orvim mibayle. So we'll say if that's the case, then it should not have said Orvim, but rather again Orvim. Orvim would have been the proper grammatical form to mean people from the city of Orev. The fact that it calls them Arvim, the Gemara understands, literally means that it was the ravens who brought Eliyahu Hanavi food each and every day. So we'll say what comes out from this particular piece is Eliyahu Hanavi was sustained from the kitchen of Achav. That's for sure. What we can't learn out from this is any type of everlasting halacha. Why? Api dibur shiny. As Rashi points out, this just could have been extenuating circumstances, and therefore, again, you can't learn out halacha l'doridoros from this situation. Weiter. Let me say. So we'll say again. We're still trying to figure out: is Rav Anan correct or not? Rav Anan said that a mumar la'avodos kochavim is muter lecha mishchitaso. Ultimately, again, you're allowed to eat from his shchita. So says the Gemara. Let me see this. So we'll see. Here we go. Hakol shochtin. Everyone is permitted to shecht. Afilu kusi. So we'll see actually the Gemara over here is quoting from the Braysh that we had on yesterday's daf on Dalet Amud Beis. Hakol shochtin. Everyone is permitted to shecht. Vafilu kusi, even a kusi. Vafilu arel, even an uncircumcised person. Vafilu Yisrael mummer. And we'll say even a Yisrael mummer. So says the Gemara. Let's analyze this. Hi arel heichi dami. What's the case of arel here? What's the case of Aral? So we'll say if we say that it's a case of a person whose brothers died machmas mila. We'll say we know the Gemara talks about this. What's this situation? Hemophilia. Again, this was mesu achma machmas mila. There was some type of disorder in the family. Again, Chazal, the Gemara didn't know what it was called. The Gemara didn't know what it was it, but they recognized that there was something genetic in the family. Now again, remember, that was established, there's a machlokes in the Gemara, is it 2 older brothers who Nebuch died, 3 older brothers who Nebuch died? That's the discussion, is halacha established by 2 or by 3, different, but either way, the point over here is, Mesu achma machmas mida rabosai, so if that's why this child or this person is uncircumcised, remember again, there's mitzvah bris milah, but am I obligated to go ahead and risk my life for the mitzvah bris milah? No. So Mesu achav machmas mida rabosai, we tell that person to remain uncircumcised. If he's uncircumcised because his older brothers died as a result of the milah, Yisrael ma'ayuhu, he's a full-fledged Jew. Ela pshita murmur la'arelos. Rather, we'll say it has to be that the Yisrael mummer, the Arel over here is talking about what type of case? Murmur la'arelos. Rabbi will say it's not mesu machmas milah. Why doesn't he have a bris milah? Why doesn't he have a bris milah? He doesn't believe in it. Right? He's making his what's the word? A conscientious objector. Right? He doesn't believe in the mitzvah of milah, and therefore that's why he's in Arel. So Rabbi say, so now watch this. Say seifa. So Rabbi say, so now what you're going to tell me is, remember, and what did the Brisa say? The Brisa said that an Arel is permitted to go ahead and shecht. Now you're telling me that the case of Arel is a mummer la'arelos, is a Yisrael who purposely and defiantly rejects the mitzvah of bris milah. So let's analyze this. Amos Seifa, look at the end of that brayso. Va'afili Yisrael mummer. So we'll say, remember again, the end of the brayso says even a Yisrael mummer is permitted to go and do shchita. Sehichi dami. So we'll say, what's the case of a Yisrael mummer? If you want to say it's Yisrael who's a mummer l'davar echad, we'll say, what does a mummer l'davar echad mean? It means that I accept the Torah except for this. Meaning there's a particular mitzvah that I actively reject and repudiate. That's called the mummer l'davar echad. So I accept 612 mitzvahs, but there's one mitzvah that I reject it. So we'll say, if you say that the Yisrael mummer case is a mummer l'davar echad, then that's the equivalent of what? A mummer la'arelos. Because we'll say, what is a mummer la'arelos? What is a mummer l'milah? He's a mummer l'davar echad. I accept 612, I reject bris milah. If that's the case, then the Brisa is saying the same case twice. Ela lav mummer lav of those kochavim. Rather, when the Brisa says that even a Yisrael mummer has a right to go ahead and do shchit, and a shchit is kshera, it must be what? It must be a mummer la'avodos kochavim Rav Anan. And Rabbi said this hereby backs up the position of Rav Anan that halacha l'maisa a Yisrael mummer la'avodos kochavim is permitted in fact to do shchita. To which the Gemara says lo. No. Li'olam a mulacha mummer la'avodos kochavim lo. In reality, I'm going to tell you that a mummer la'avodos kochavim is not permitted to do shchita. The Amar Mar, because we'll say, here we go, first wide line, hey Amud Aleph, chamura avodos kochavim. We'll say, avodah zara is obviously very chamer. It's very stringent. We'll say, really stringent, it's very severe. It is a very severe infraction. So the Gemara shows the severity in a positive way. Shekala kofar ba, because whoever actively rejects and repudiates avodah zarah, kimode b'chala Torah kula. If you actively reject and repudiate avodah zarah, say then what? It's as if you have actively accepted the entire Torah. Now understand the reverse of that is true as well, which is therefore, if I go ahead and I accept avodah zarah, then what? Then what? It's as if I've actively and fully rejected and repudiated Torah. There is this inverse relationship between avodah zarah and Torah. If I reject avodah zarah, the mere rejection of avodah zarah represents an acceptance of Torah. Conversely, if I chas v'shalom accept avodah zarah, then I've actively rejected and repudiated Torah. So the Gemara says, so therefore again, logic would dictate that what? That a mumar la'avodas kochavim, his shchita would not be good. Because how could we accept a shchita of someone who actively rejects Torah? So we'll say, again, it's an illogical stance. Elo, mumar la'osa davar. Rather than say what you have to say is that, what are we talking about over here? Rashi says, mumar la'osa davar l'shchita. Rather, when the Mishnah says that we accept the shchita of a Yisrael mumar, what type of mumar is that, Rabbi say? For a Jew who is a mumar to shchita, for the mitzvah of shchita. It goes back to the second daf we had in this Masechta, which was that you could have a Jew who's what's called a mumar l'tei avon. Mumar le'echol nevelos l'tei avon, which is a type of Jew who's not makbid on shchita. If you give me the check knife, of course I'll do it right. But if I don't have a check knife, or if there's not kosher meat easily available, I'll just as easily eat something non-kosher. Just right, that's the case of Mumar Le'echol. So we'll say that's the case of the Yisrael Mumar. If he goes ahead and he does the shchita, that shchita is Look at Rashi. Mumar Le'osa davar, the shchita u'letei avon. Ve'itzrich lashmo'inan delotema kevan dedashpe ke'etera dami elavade kisur damile uletei avon hu da'avale v'chi mazmina le'sakin lo shave ke'etera v'achal isura. Therefore, when the Brisa says that a Yisrael mumar you can eat from his shchita, what type of mumar is that? That's a mumar letei avon le'achol nevelos. A Jew who, if he doesn't have readily available kosher meat, will eat non-kosher meat. If he has a choice between the two, which one will he take? Which one will he take? The kosher meat. Will he run after a kosher sakin to go out and do shchita? No. But if you put it in his hand, he'll absolutely use it. So such a Jew like that, you set him up for success, ultimately you can eat from his shchita. Okay, Rava. Let's listen to this. Rava, and ultimately again reflects the view of Rava. To which the Gemara says, Neisvei. So remember again, that was Rava's interpretation of the Mishnah. Remember again, going back to the five-way machlokes about how to interpret Akol Shochtin, Rava was the one who said that Akol Shochtin ultimately again referred to a mumar le'echol nevelos l'tei avon. Here we go, say Neisvei. So the Gemara is another kasha. Mikem. So the Gemara now is quoting up with the positive. Daber el bnei Yisrael v'amarta aleim adam ki yakiv mikem karban Hashem v'na'ahema v'na'bakar v'na'atzon takiv karbanchem. So the pasuk says mikem. When a person from amongst you will go ahead and bring a karban. So this is talking about over here a neder or a nedava. So mikem means v'lo kulchem. So mikem means from amongst you will bring a karban, which teaches me not everyone could bring a karban. What does that mean? Not everybody can bring a carbon. Who's excluded from a carbon? Lahotzi es hamumar. Rabbi say to exclude the mumar, that a mumar is not permitted to go ahead and bring a carbon, even a carbon nedava. So the Gemara says, mikem. Furthermore, when the word says mikem, from amongst you, bachem chilakti v'lo b'umos. Furthermore, it is only in the Jewish people that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has distinguished that there are some who can bring a carbon, some who cannot bring a carbon. However, v'lo b'umos. But Rabbi say not amongst the nations of the world. Which Rabbi say means what? This is actually quite fascinating. We could accept karbanos from non-Jews. And if Rabbi say if a non-Jew sends a carbon to the Beis Hamikdash, we could accept it. Even if what? Even if he's the high priest for some avodah zarah. But a Jew, we can only accept a carbon from Jews who do not engage in avodah zarah. If a Jew engages a mumar, a Jew engages in avodah zarah, we cannot go and accept his carbon. We'll say, isn't that fascinating? From an akum, we don't check his spiritual credentials, his theological credentials. If he sends it in, we can accept it. A Yisrael, mikem, only certain members of Klal Yisrael can we accept karbanos from. But unfortunately, again, if a Jew is a mumar la'avodah zarah, we can't accept his carbon. Mina behema. Furthermore, again, the pasuk says mina behema. Ultimately, again, if you look at Rashi, by the way, Rashi says bachem chalakti klomar midichsir. Actually, if you skip down to the last line of that Rashi of mikem bachem chalakti in the wide lines of Rashi, third line in shmamina bachem chalakti shaksherim miviin velo hamumrin. The boss say within Klal Yisrael, it's only the ksherim. And again, the boss say I want to point out by the way, ksherim in Klal Yisrael, it casts a very wide net, right? Who are the ksherim in Klal Yisrael? As long as you're not worshiping idolatry. So, it's a pretty wide net. So the ksherim, v'lo bu'umos, shekulan misnad v'mekalanos. Isn't that amazing? So mikem means, from amongst you in Klal Yisrael, there are some who can bring karbanos, some who can't. For the nations of the world, anyone who wants to bring a carbon can bring a carbon. Klal Yisrael, only a person who is not the mumar la'avodos kocham can bring a carbon, but if you're mumar la'avodos kocham, you cannot. Mina behema. We'll say Aman Hema Dalif, third wide line in Mina Behema, from in the animals, Lahavi Bnei Adam Shadomin Behema. The Bible said this comes to include people who are like behemoths. What does that mean? Rashi says, Imadomin Behema, She'ein Mekaimin Es HaMitzvos. So we'll say ultimately again Mina Behema means that unfortunately if you have people who are like behemoths, Rashi says, i.e., that do not perform karbanos, they're like mina behema. So the Gemara says mikan amru. So we'll say, what do we see from here? Mikan amru. This is the incredible Gemara. Incredible Gemara. Mikan amru. Mikablin karbonos miposhe Yisrael kadei sheyachseru bahen b'tshuva. So we'll say, I want to point something out. Mina behema teaches me that what? I can go ahead and accept karbonos from Jews who are even like behemoths. We'll say, who are Jews who are like behemoths? Jews who do not observe mitzvos. First of all, it's a pretty strong musar, right? If I don't observe mitzvos, then I'm no different than a behema. In other words, behemoths do their thing also. They have physical lives without a spiritual component. If I live my life without Torah, I live a life without mitzvos. So again, it doesn't make me bad. It just makes me like a behema. So we'll say, watch this. So from here, what do you see? Mikan Amru, from here you see, Mekablon karbanos miposhe Yisrael, that we accept karbanos from Jews who are sinners, in order that what? In order that we should facilitate their tshuva. This is an incredible, incredible idea. You see, you understand what the havamina of the Gemara is? You understand what's happening over here? The havamina of the Gemara is that we shouldn't accept karbanos from Jews who sin. Right? How can you allow a Jew who sins to bring a carbon to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Rabbi say, but what do you understand? HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants everyone close to him. You have to facilitate people's return. So how do you facilitate people's return? Very simple. Keep the door open. Keep the door open. See, even a Yisrael who's a posheya, even a Yisrael who is a sinner, ultimately, again, we accept karbanos from him. There's an exception. Who's the exception? Chutz min ha-mumar, u'menasech es hayayin, u'mechalel shabbos befarhesya. We'll say there are exceptions to this rule. Exceptions to this rule are people who actively and fundamentally repudiate a connection to Yiddishkeit and to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So if you are a mumar, let's assume for a moment this is talking about Avodah Zarah. If you're a mumar of Avodah Zarah, Menasech Chesed means you actively offer wine libations to Avodah Zarah, u'mechalo Shabbos befarhesya, and you actively and publicly desecrate Shabbos. So we'll say, obviously, the mechalo Shabbos befarhesya is someone who is doing this not out of a lack of knowledge, but as someone who knows exactly what he's doing and is doing it in order to make a statement that he does not accept Shabbos, that he does not accept the tenant. It's not talking about someone who doesn't know, someone who doesn't understand, or someone who's not struggling with this is an act of theological repudiation. So we'll say, so you understand how incredible this is. So if you're a posheya, so we learn out, even if you're like the behema, we could accept the carbon, but there are certain things which fundamentally fracture your relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Avodah Zarah, Menasech Yayim, Chilul Shabbos Befarhesya, where the Gemara says we can't accept your karbanos. The Gemara says, but understand there's an inherent contradiction. Haguf Akasha, Amarta mikem v'lo kulchem lo tzias hamumar. So on one hand, you said that when the pasuk says mikem means adam mikem, a person from amongst you, which tells us that not all Jews are permitted to bring karbanos. So who is excluded from the ability to bring a karban? Lahotzias. That excludes the mumar. But yeah, what did you say in the next line? V'hadrtani mekablin karbanos miposhe Yisrael. Now let's say, what did the next line say? The next line says you could accept karbanos even from sinners. Why? Why do we accept karbanos even from sinners? To facilitate return. So which one is it? Halok, the Gemara says, Halok Ashya, Reisha Mumar L'chol HaTorah Kula, Mitziasa mumar ledavar echad. So we'll say there's a chilik, right? There's a mumar capital mem and a mumar with a lowercase mem. If you're a mumar l'chala Torah kula, I'm sorry. We'll say, what's interesting is, like any life relationship, if you want to mend it, you have to put something into this as well. If you're a mumar l'chala Torah kula, we're not accepting your carbon. We're not accepting your carbon, because if you're a mumar l'chala Torah kula, what are you doing? What are you doing? You want a relationship? Then what are you doing to facilitate the relationship? Right? If you're a mumar l'chal Torah kula, you need to take some steps. So mumar l'chal Torah kula, we're not going to accept that person's carbon. But a mumar l'davar echad, that we will accept your carbon. That's Poshe Yisrael. He's a Jew who's a sinner. We're going to accept your carbon to facilitate tshuva. Same as Sefer. Then let's look at the Sefer of that same brayso. Chutz min ha-mumar u'menaseh chesayim mechal Shabbos befar hesya. What do the braysos say? With the exception of a mumar, a menaseh chesayayin, person who offers wine libations to idolatry, and one who violates Shabbos befar hesya. Let's analyze this. In this context, Rabbi say, "Hi mumar hechidami." What's the case of mumar in this situation? So the Gemara says, "I mumar l'chala Torah kula." If you want to say that it's a mumar for everything, l'chala Torah kula hainu reisha. Then Rabbi say that's the same statement as reisha. Remember again, Rabbi say, "What's the halacha with the mumar l'chala Torah kula?" What's the halacha? We do not accept his karbanos at all. So if you're telling me again that the mumar of the seifa is the same thing as the mumar of the reisha, why they need to restate it? The mumar l'davar echad, and if you want to say it's mumar l'davar echad, which means what? A Yisrael who just actively rejects and repudiates one mitzvah, then what? We have a contradiction. What's the contradiction? Kasha mitzvasa. See, the seifa is now telling me that even a mumar l'davar echad what? Can't offer a carbon, but we just said before that what can offer a carbon. So what's going on over here? This is what it means to say. So here we go. This is the halacha l'maisa. Halacha kamar chutz min hamumar lenasech as hayayin ulechalel shabbosas befar hesya. See, Rabbi say, listen to this. Even though under normal circumstances, the way we normally say it is as follows: that if you are a mumar ledavar echad, will we accept your carbon? Yes. Except if the one mitzvah you repudiate is either what? L'naseh chesayayin, which refers to what? Avodah Zarah. So if you happen to be that your mumar ledavar echad is Avodah Zarah, or your mumar ledavar echad is what? Is Shabbos. Those are deal breakers. Those are deal breakers with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So we'll say, again, understanding Avodah Zarah is obvious, because if I accept Avodah Zarah, then by definition, again, I can't have a relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shabbos, we'll say we're going to get into this more, but Shabbos, of course, is a fundamental underpinning, a cornerstone to our relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If I am a mumar, ultimately, again, to be mechalel these things, then that's considered to really be, even though it's quote-unquote a mumar ledavar echad, I'm keeping everything else, I'm just not keeping Avodah Zarah or Shabbos. In a halachic sense, to a certain degree, it renders you as a mumar l'chala Torah kula. And therefore we'll say, what's the halacha of someone who is a mumar l'chala Torah kula? What's the status of his first of all, what's karbanos? Can he offer carbon? No. And presumably, again, it also means that his shchita will not be valid as well. Amma mumar la'avodas kochavim have a mumar l'chol haTorah kula. Rather, I will say, what do you see? That a mumar la'avodas kochavim is in fact considered to be a mumar l'chol haTorah kula utiyufta derav anan tiyufta. And ultimately, the Gemara effectively refutes the position of Rav Anan. Remember again, Rav Anan said that mumar la'avodas kochavim mutter le'echol mishchitaso. The Gemara has effectively refuted that position and has understood that a mumar la'avodos kochavim rabosai, you can't accept his karbanos, and his shchita is invalid as well. Now rabosai, now obviously the Gemara made another dramatic statement about a mumar lechalal Shabbos befar hesya. Now it sounds like the mumar lechalal Shabbos befar hesya is in the same boat as the mumar la'avodos chum. So we're gonna see that more a little bit. But at least remember again, we're not sorry about Chilul Shabbos right now. Our purpose right now is Rav Anan's statement. So we will say what it seems to be clear according to the Gemara, at least at this moment, is a mumar la'avodas kochavim, is a mumar l'chala Torah kula, and therefore by definition his shchita will be invalid. Good. So the Gemara says, v'hami hachan afka. So we'll say, now we're going back for just a moment, because remember, we introduced the whole karbanos thing over here. So we'll say, so now the Gemara just learned out from this word mikem, right? V'lo kulchem, that's what? That we do not accept karbanos from a mumar. So the Gemara says, do we learn that from here? Do we learn out that you can't accept a carbon from a mummer from here? Mehasam nafka. We'll say we learned that from there. Where's the there? Amud Beis. Me'am ha'aretz. Both side the pasuk says by carbon chatos, v'im nefesh achas techeta bishkaga me'am ha'aretz, ba'asosa achas mitzos Hashem asher lo te'asena v'ashem. So we'll say, so the pasuk dashes me'am ha'aretz. Now me'am ha'aretz means, the way the Gemara is dashing over here, from amongst the indigenous people, Klal Yisrael. Rashi says, me'am v'lo kol am. V'gabe chatos ksiv shebai dishogi. So remember again, you bring korban chatos for something. Had I done it intentionally, it would carry a chi of misa. If I do it b'shogeg, I bring a korban chatos. So the Gemara is understanding the following from here. Me'am, Rabbi say, means that what? There are only certain people who bring a korban chatos, but other people may not bring a korban chatos. So what's the pshat? Who can bring a chatos? Who doesn't bring a chatos? So watch this. Me'am haaretz prat lumumar. Rabbi say this comes to exclude a mummer, that a mummer is not permitted to bring a korban chatos. Okay, let's analyze this. Rabbi Shimon Yossi Omer Shun Rabbi Shimon asher lo te'asena bishkaga va'ashem. So what say? So the pasuk says. The pasuk says, we'll say also, and this is actually by the carbon of the nasi. Asher nasi yechta va'asa achas mikol mitzvos Hashem asher lo te'asena bishkaga va'ashem. So we'll say this is the chatos of the nasi, same parsha of the chatos. But watch this. So the Gemara says, so we'll say this is Rabbi Shimon ben Yossi saying in the name of Rabbi Shimon a fundamental idea. Watch this. It will say who brings a carbon chatos. Again, this even though he's bringing it up here from the nasi, but this is creating for us a very important criteria. Who is the person who brings a carbon chatos? So here we go. Hashav miyidiyaso, mevi carbon al shigagaso. Eino shav miyidiyaso, eino mevi carbon al shigagaso. We'll say, watch this. Who brings a carbon chatos? Someone, so we'll say, someone who had he known that what he was doing was wrong, would what? Would not have done it. That's a person who brings a chatos. But someone, Rabbi say, even had it been pointed out to him that what he's doing is wrong, he would still what? Continue to do it? That type of person does not bring a carbon chatos. So that's Lashon. Hashav midiyaso, someone who had he been given the knowledge prior to the commission of the act that what he was doing was wrong, would refrain from doing it. Maybe carbon shagaso, eino shav midiyaso, but I will say, had he been told that, hey, what you're doing is wrong, he would have done it anyway, bless you. Maybe carbon shagaso, he does not go ahead and bring a carbon on his shkaga. So I'll say, Va'aminan, and we said, my beneh. So we'll say, so both of them seem to be kind of saying the same idea, which is what? So we'll say, so we had over here the first brayso of the Rabbanan teaching us, Me'am ha'aretz prat l'mumar. Rabbi Shimon Yossi is bringing it out from Asher lo te'asena bishkaga. So what's the nafkin? We'll say they both seem to be saying the same thing. My benayu, mumar le'echol chelev. It's actually a fascinating case. Mumar le'echol chelev, ve'hevi karbano al dam. So let's listen to the nafkamina case. Let's say you have a Jew who is a mumar le'achol chelev. Which means what? That he eats chelev. He just does not believe in the biblical prohibition. Everybody has their weakness, right? Against chelev. He doesn't believe in it. It's ridiculous. So he eats chelev. Rabbi say, now watch this. But what happened? It's actually incredible. He accidentally ate blood. He accidentally ate dam. He wants to now bring a carbon chatos because he accidentally ate dam. So they will say, can we accept his chatos for his blood consumption or not? Look at Rashi. It's almost right across in Rashi. Ve'hevi karban al dam sheshagagbo ve'ilo haya yodea shuhaya dam lahaya ochlo. So we'll say, had he known that what he was eating was blood, right? He thought, he thought it was fruit punch, whatever it was, right? So we'll say, had he known that it was dam, he would have never eaten it. So watch this. Can he bring a chatas? L'tanakama mumar shmo v'lo mekabli namer. So we'll say, so according to the Tanakama, me'am ha'aretz teaches us that a mumar is not permitted to bring a chatos. He's not a mummer to eat dam. He's a mummer to eat chelev. The Tanakama would still say he cannot go ahead and bring a chatos. Or Rav Shimon, but according to Rav Shimon, he can bring a chatos. Why? Why, Abosai? Because had you stopped him before he drank the blood and told him, hey, Chaim Yankel, that is not fruit punch, it's blood. What would he have done? He would have put it back down. Even though he's a mummer, Abosai, for chelev. He's not a mummer for dam. And had he known that what he was about to eat was dam, halacha ma'aseh would have never eaten it. He can't bring a carbon chatas. So as I say, ultimately again, this will be the nafkamina ultimately in Tana Kama and Rabbi Shimon. To which the Gemara says, chada bechatas v'chada ba'ola. So as I say, what do you see from here? You see from here that halacha l'maisa, I will say one limud. So in other words, we essentially have two limudim, I will say, to teach us the same exact thing. If you look at Rashi, Mikem v'lo kulchem dela'el. It's actually in we'll say it's in the Divrei Hamaschil v'hevi carbon al adam. It's in the two dots in that Rashi. Mikem v'lo kulchem dela'el ba'olas nedava mishtaikra dichsib basrei im ola karbonos. So we'll say. So what's interesting is as follows. We now have two psukim that essentially tell us that a mummer is not permitted to bring a carbon. One pasuk is by chatos, one pasuk is by ola, and the obvious shaila is what I will say. Why do I need both? In other words, just teach me that a mummer can't bring a carbon in one context, and again, logically, I would extrapolate that halacha to apply to other carbonic contexts as well. Why do I need both? Chada bechatas v'chada la. I'll tell you why. Utzrichi. Here's why you need Rabbi say. Because it will say ultimately again, I would have thought that if we just would have learned that a mummer can't bring a chatos, of course, the mummer can't bring a chatas. Why, Rabbi say? Because the chatas is for atonement. Rabbi say, who is atonement reserved for? Who is it reserved for? For people who don't intentionally sin. But if a person intentionally sins, the carbon chatas is not for you. That's why a mummer can't bring a chatas. But maybe what? Maybe by ola he's permitted to. Aval ola the darnu ema lekabel mine. But ola, which is a gift offering, maybe you should accept that even from a mummer. V'yashmuinon ola. Would have just told me that we don't accept an ola from a mummer, mishum delav chiyuvu, because we're saying ola in this context as an adava offering, it's not obligatory. Maybe because it's not obligatory, therefore what? We can't accept it from him. Avachatas dechiyuvahu. I'm sorry, we can't accept it from him. Avachatas dechiyuvahu. Emelekalamine. I will say maybe by achatas, ultimately again, which is obligatory, maybe we should ultimately accept it from the mummer. Therefore, boss, I need both cases of both the chatas and the tell me in both of those situations, I do not accept the carbon from the mummer. So the Gemara says, okay, boss, now we're looping back to another detail from the previous drasha. Now, boss, if you remember again, going back to Amud Aleph, so the Gemara darshaned from the pasuk of minha behema, from the phrase minha behema, it teaches us that what? That even if a person, like a behema, wants to offer a carbon, we accept it from him. We'll say, who is a person who is like a behema? Who's like a behema? What are the Gemara darshan? Someone who doesn't do mitzvahs is like a behema. Right? Again, we'll say, understand, it's just a statement of fact. If I don't have spirituality in my life, I'm a physical being, then by definition, I'm an animal. So we said that what? We can accept karbanos even from people who are like animals. So we'll say, the Gemara has an interesting kasha. Are you telling me then, We'll say, you're telling me then that every time you see animal mentioned in the same sentence as a human being, that it's coming to refer to, in a negative way, in a disparaging way, to a type of person who's like an animal. So I'm going to show you examples of where you have both a mention of people and animals, and yet what? It's not disparaging. Vaksiv, adab umbehema toshia Hashem. Right? We'll say the pasuk says, say this every Shabbos in Sidkas Chatzadek, adab ubehema toshia Hashem, a person and an animal, right, will be saved by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So what I see here, it's not referring disparagingly to a person who doesn't have spirituality. V'amar Yehuda Morav, Elu b'nei Adam, we'll say in fact just the opposite. Yehuda says, we'll say, who's the Adam ubehema? Watch this. Who does this refer to? Elu b'nei Adam, Shin arumin bidas, we'll say this refers to people who are exceptionally wise, umasimin atzman kibehema, but they are humble like animals. They humble themselves like animals. So we'll say, see from here, in this context, the juxtaposition of an animal to a person is actually lishvach, is actually as a praise to people who are exceptionally wise, but humble themselves like animals. To which the Gemara says, Hasam ksiv Adam ubehema. We'll say in that pasuk by Tzidchascha, what does it say? Adam ubehema. Right? However, again, hacha behema lichudaksiv. We'll say the pasuk by the ola and the pasuk by the carbon, it said behema by itself. When you find apparently behema by itself, that's a reference to people who unfortunately conduct themselves like animals. i.e. without spirituality. When you find an Adam Ubehema, that could be understood as the Gemara darshes it to a person who is wise but yet humbles himself like an animal. Adam Ubehema Mal Yusehi. So now you're telling me that every time it says Adam Ubehema, that's a praise? That refers to a person who is wise like a human being but humble like an animal. But what about this? Vizarati es beis Yisrael zera Adam uzera behema. And we'll also what the pasuk over here says in Yirmiyahu, speaking about destruction. Hine yamim banu Hashem v'zarati es beis Yisrael v'es beis Yudah zera Adam v'zera behema. Right, talking about the dispersion. Ultimately, again, of Klal Yisrael. We'll say if we look at Rashi, zera behema u'makmino lebi mesechas sota lo kar v'lo shana v'lo shimish amidi chamalava kasuv v'zarati es beis Yisrael zera Adam v'zera behema. Klamar hachachamim v'aborim kulam azar. We'll say so when the pasuk is v'zarati es beis Yisrael, I will disperse bnei Yisrael. Who does that refer to? Zera Adam v'zera behema. We'll say the seed of man and the seed of animals. What is that talking about? So Rashi goes to the Gemara that says zera behema in this context means people again who are like behemoths, people who have no spirituality. So you see that what? Even when it's zera Adam or zera behema, see we wanted to say before from the pasuk of Tzidchascha, then when it's what? When it's Adam ubehema, it's talking about people who are humble like animals. What do we see from this pasuk? We ultimately see that what? Even when human beings and animals are separated, the animals still refer to who? Still refer to base people without spirituality. To which the Gemara says, no. Ha chalke kra. We'll say there the pasuk separates them. Zera Adam l'chod v'zera behema l'chod. Ultimately, again, we'll say there the pasuk separates them. The seed of animals one way, the seed of behemoths another way. Good. So we'll say so that ends that sugya. So we'll say so what comes out of here. The takeaway is just from the halachic perspective. We saw again. This is riveting Gemara. You begin to see a lot of stuff. So first of all, we're exposed to this idea that what that halacha l'maisa we do not accept. Although we accept karbanos mi poshe Yisrael, we accept karbanos from sinners. We're going to say there's a whole body of karbanos that are devoted to sinners. Why do we accept karbanos from sinners? Because ultimately, we want to facilitate tshuva. But there are certain people whose actions have so profoundly and severely separated them from their Creator that we cannot accept their karbanos. And I want to be clear about this. When we say we can't accept their karbanos, what does it mean? We can't accept their karbanos until when? Until they decide to do the tshuva, until they do tshuva. I want to be clear. We're only not accepting the karbanos of a mummer when a mummer decides to remain a mummer. The moment that a mummer decides to do tshuva and change his ways, of course, we accept this karbanos with open arms. It's just, we'll say, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't be a mummer la'avodas kochavim. You can't be a mummer even la'davar echad in certain things and have a relationship with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. If you want, change yourself and the door is absolutely open. But we'll say, for our purposes of Maseches Chullin, what's the most important halachic takeaway we've had so far? A mummer la'avodas kochavim shchitaso eina kshera. We do not accept the shchita of a mummer la'avodas kochavim. It seems to be in that same vein. Mummer l'chal Shabbos befarhasya will be the same way also, because he's also always grouped together with a mummer la'avodas kochavim, rejecting Rav Anan's approach. Fine. We'll say now we come back to another interesting point. Am Rav Chanan, Am Rabbi Yaakov bar Idi, Am Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi. Here we go. Just another few minutes. We'll say this is a dramatic sugya. Get ready for this. Rabbi Gamliel ubeis dino nimnu ashchitas kusi vasur. We'll say if you remember again, based on one of the interpretations of the Mishnah, we spoke about the shchita of a kusi, and it sounded like what? The shchita of a kusi was kosher. We'll say why is the shchita of a kusi kosher? Why? Because apparently kusim observe the mitzvah of shchita. And one of the things we've seen about kusim is that what? Although they don't accept everything, whatever they do accept, they are exceptionally meticulous about it. If you remember again, if you wanted to see if the shchita was good of the kusi, how do you test that? Right, give him something. If he'll eat of the shchita, then it's good. If you want of the shchita, it's not good. So I'll say, so therefore, so now, okay, so we established before that shchita's kusi was good. Says the Gemara something dramatically amazing. Rabbi Chanan said, Rabbi Yaakov bar Idi said, Rabbi Shmuel ben Levi, Mishnah bar Kafra, Rabbi Gamliel ubeis dino nimnu ashchitas kusi va'asruha. I will say Rabbi Gamliel and his beis din. So I will say Rabbi Gamliel apparently went ahead and gathered together a beis din that was of larger number and larger wisdom, and redacted that halacha. He said that we do not eat of the shechita of a kusi. we will not eat of the shechita of a kusi. Right? Nimnu al shechitas kusi va'asrua. Rabbi, if you look at Rashi, Rabbi Gamliel, Benosh Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. Rabbi Gamliel was the son of Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. Shemin achrono beistino nimnu al shechitas kusi la'achar shenishtas mishnasenu ta'kol shultin ve'afilu kusi. Rabbi said, this is amazing. So watch this. Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, who is the codifier of the Mishnayos, he paskin in the Mishnah that what? Hakol shultin afilu what? Afilu kusi. Rabbi Gamliel, his son, got together his Beis Din. The Rebbe say was of greater number and greater of wisdom. And what happened? Passed another halacha, a modification halacha, said no, shchitas kusi is no good. You cannot eat the shchita of a kusi. Watch this, Rebbe say. This is amazing. Amali Rabbi Zera, Rabbi Yaakov Bar Idi. So we'll say, so remember again, we have to get the names here right. Remember, this is Rav Chanan Bar Yaakov, Rav Chanan, sending Rabbi Yaakov Bar Idi, to Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi. So we'll say, Bishum Bar Kafra. So it's all over the name of Bar Kafra. So that Rabbi Gamliel and his Beis Din got together and rejected the shechita of a kusi. Amali Rabbi Zera, the Rabbi Yaakov Bar Idi. So we'll say, Rabbi Zera was a Talmud of Rav Yaakov Bar Idi. And Rabbi Zera the Talmud says to his Rebbe, Shema lo shama Rebbe, ela b'she'en Yisrael omet al gabav. So we'll say, Rabbi Zera says to his Rebbe, remember again, his Rebbe, Rav Yaakov Bar Idi, is just the one who said over that Rabbi Gamliel and his Beis Din got together and said that the shechita of a kusi is not good. Rabbi Zera says, Rebbe, maybe you misunderstood. And maybe the only time that Rabbi Gamliel said that the shechita of a kusi is not good is when? Ella b'she'ein Yisrael omed al gabav. Maybe the shechita of a kusi, I will say, is not good when there's no Yiddish mashgiach, right? When there's no Yisrael standing over the kusi. But if there's Yisrael standing over the kusi, there's Yisrael mashgiach, then what? Then the shechita of the kusi will be absolutely good. So we'll say, to which Rav Yaakov Bar Idi says, Amar lei, Dami hai mirabanan kidelo gemiri inshi. Unfortunately, kidelo gemiri inshi shmaita. Right? Ultimately, again, or kidelo gemiri. Right? Ultimately, it appears that my Talmud, Rabbi Zera, is like an unlearned person, which also has another way of saying, what a ridiculous question. So I want to say, it's interesting, by the way, sometimes, we like to say, every question is a good question. So apparently it's not true, right? There are some bad questions, right? There are some negative, we don't say that, but apparently in the Gemara they have to make a point. So, Dami hai mirabana kidlo gemiri inshi. So we'll say, so Rabbi Yaakov Bar Idi says, my Talmud Reb Zera asked the question like someone ultimately, again, who was unlearned. So the Gemara says, B'she'en Yisrael omed al gabav l'meim rabai. So we'll say, it goes without saying, we'll say, that remember again, the whole way that a kusi shchita was only permitted in the beginning, I will say, was how? You saw me go about. Remember, I will say, when we modify this, according to the opinion of the Mishnah, I said that a kol shochtin came to include a shchitas kusi from the beginning, even when the Mishnah allowed shchitas kusi. That was only when a Yisrael was standing over the kusi. That was always part of the equation. Now, Rav Yaakov Bar Idi is coming along and saying that Rabbi Gamliel said, we no longer accept the shchita of the kusi, even with the Yisrael omed al gabav. To which the Gemara says, Kibla minei, or lo kibla minei. So we'll say, here's the shaila. Did Rabbi Zera accept this or not? So we'll say, so now, what you have over here is Rav Yaakov Bar Idi, the Rebbe, telling his Talmud Rabbi Zera that Rabbi Gamliel and his Beis Din came along and redacted the halacha. And they said that at this point in time, although Rebbe in the Mishnah permitted the shechita of a kusi, Rabbi Gamliel, Rebbe's son, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi's son, came along, convened his Beis Din, and said that the shechita of a kusi is asur under all circumstances. So now, Rabbi Yaakov Bar Idi explained this to his Talmud Rabbi Zera. Now what's the shaila? Did Rabbi Zera accept this or not? Did Rabbi Zera accept this new formulated halacha or not? So we'll say, here we go. Tashma, Dom Rab Nachman Bar Yitzchak, Amar Abasi, Anira Isi es Rabbi Yochanan, Sha'achal Meshchitas Kusi. This is amazing. So that happens. Rabbi Asi says, I saw Rabbi Yochanan eat from the shechita of a kusi. I saw him do it. V'af Rabbi Asi, Achal Meshchitas Kusi. And I saw Rabbi Asi eat from the shechita of a kusi as well. V'toiba, V'tai bar Rabbi Zera. Rabbi said Rabbi Zera wondered about this. Rashi says V'tai bar Rabbi Zera. Garsina et miale. Shachloim bar Rabbi Zera. So Rabbi Zera wondered about this. How are they eating the shechita of akusi? So Rabbi Zera. So remember again. Why is Rabbi Zera bothered by this? Why is Rabbi Zera bothered by this? Why? Because Rabbi Zera heard from his Rebbe, Rav Yaakov Bar Idi, that the halacha was that what? You can no longer eat from the shechita of a kusi. Yet Rabbi Zera, of course, is going to do whatever his Rebbe says, but he sees these other people who are not paskening like Rav Yaakov Bar Idi. So what's going on over here? So Rabbi Zera wonders, why are these great Rabbanim eating from the shechita of a kusi? Now there are two possibilities. Possibility one is, lo shmiya lahu. We'll say possibility one is that what? Is that what? We'll say again, remember, we're travel slowly in Talmudic times. So it's possible that they just never heard the statement of Rav Yaakov Bar Idi. They never heard that Rabbi Gamliel and his Beis Din got back together and re-legislated the law that you can't eat the shechita of a kusi. And therefore, because they never heard it, they're still eating it. They still assume that what? The halacha is as expressed in the Mishnah. Lo have shmielu, di have shmielu, have mekablila. Because certainly what I will say, had they heard that the halacha was like Rabbi Gamliel, then Rabbi Gamliel and his Beis Din got back together and said, you can't eat the shechita of a kusi, of course they would not be eating it. So that's one possibility. The kusi will say, why? Because they just never heard. They just never heard. Oh, Dilma, shmielu v'lo kablua. Or I will say, no. Maybe what? Maybe they heard it, but they still rejected it. They still rejected it. I will say, now that's going to be a bit more interesting in terms of how they could reject it. We'll get into the mechanics of this. Maybe they heard about it, but they rejected it. So I'll say, Hadir Pashat Lenafshe. So I'll say, Rabbi Zera then kind of worked this out a little bit later on, and he said, Pashat Lenafshe, Mistabra, Tishmilu, Velo Kablua. But I'll say, it must be that what? It must be that they heard, these other Rabbanim heard what Rav Yaakov Bar Idi said. That Rabbi Gamliel and his Beis Din said that you can't eat of the shechita of the kusi. But what? V'lo kablua. They did not accept this halacha. They didn't accept it. They still held that the shechita of a kusi was good. Because we'll say, if you would think that what? That they just never heard that Rabbi Gamliel and his Beis Din got back together and paskind that the shechita of a kusi is aser. And had they heard that the shechita of a kusi was not good, they certainly would have accepted it. I will say, then it turns out that what? It turns out that in fact these great Rabbanan will say, we're what? We're what? We're in essence eating something that was aser. As I will say, had it been that had they known about the halacha of shchitas kusi, they would not have eaten shchitas kusi. But now because they didn't hear about it, they're eating it. It turns out that in fact they're really eating something that is aser. But how could that be, Rabbi? Say, after all, hashta. Behemtin shal tzadikim ein HaKadosh Baruch Hu mevi takalasan al yadan. Rabbi say, if the animals of tzadikim do not eat anything that is prohibited, we're going to see what that means in tomorrow's daf. If the animals of tzaddikim don't eat anything prohibited, then what? Ayidei tzaddikim atzman l'kol shekein. Then Rabbi say, ultimately, again, certainly tzaddikim themselves, the Kadosh Baruch Hu would never allow them to do something that ultimately, again, was prohibited. Top of vav. V'sakadaitcha lo kabla minei. And if ultimately, again, you would think that what? These Rabbanim did not accept the psak halacha, lishneile kan kishe Yisrael omid al gabav, kan kishein Yisrael omid al gabav. Then I will say, then what? Then the way they should have taught the halacha is what? Or Rabbi Zera could have said, oh, it must be that what? These Rabbanim are eating of the shechita of a kusi. Why? Because there was a Jewish mashkiach. But if there wasn't a Jewish mashkiach, then what? Then halacha l'maisa. That's why you can't eat the shechita kusi. These rabbis must have been eating the shechita of a kusi when halacha l'maisa, again, there was a Jewish mashkiach. That's why they were able to eat it. Elalav shmamina kabla mine shmamina. So again, for our purposes, leaving aside the other Rabbanan, Rabbi say, it becomes clear that what? Rabbi Zera did in fact accept the psak halacha of his Rebbe. He did in fact accept the psak halacha that Rabbi say, that halacha l'maisa, again, the shchitas, remember again, just to trace this through. So we have the Mishnah that tells us that the shechita of a kusi is permitted, albeit the shechita qualifies this statement by saying what Rabbi say, that it is only when Yisrael omed al gabon. Rabbi Gamliel and his Beis Din come along and say that halacha l'maisa, the shechita of a kusi is aser under all circumstances. Rav Yaakov Bar Idi teaches this to his Talmud Rabbi Zera, and remember again, we were trying to figure out Did Rabbi Zera accept this psak halacha from his Rebbe? And it becomes clear that what? Rabbi Zera did accept the psak halacha. What we don't know is what? What we don't know is what? What about the other Rabbanim? So we'll say, Miras Hashem, that we will see, Miras Hashem. Oh, yeah.